And our other gospel for today is 10 chapters earlier. Jesus said to the disciples, "Whoever welcomes you welcomes me. Whoever welcomes me welcomes the one who sent me. Whoever welcomes a prophet in the name of a prophet will receive a prophet's reward. And whoever welcomes a righteous person in the name of a righteous person will receive the reward of the righteous. And whoever gives even a cup of cold water to one of these little ones in the name of a disciple, truly I tell you, none of these will lose the reward." The gospel of the Lord. Thanks be to God. Oh, that's where that went. I wasn't panicked yet. Even a cup of cold water. I love that qualifier. It isn't much. It's even this little thing. Jesus has spent this chapter telling the disciples, this is what you're going to do. You're going to get out there. You're not taking anything with you. You're relying on the hospitality that you encounter, relying on the kindness of strangers, if you will. And you're going to run into this, you're going to run into that, but you have to do this. And then, right here, at the end, right before he sends them out, we get even this little thing. It sounds like this chapter isn't really about what it takes to be a disciple, and more about what it means to be a disciple. Not what you have to be able to do, but what you do means. They're going to go out and be the face, and the one who accepts them and welcomes them, accepts Jesus and welcomes Jesus, and accepts God the Father, and it's starting with accepting them. Earlier this week during text study, which we have here, by the way, for the summer, they like it. One of the pastors was reminded of something that happened during her CPE training. And CPE is Clinical Pastoral Education. It's 3 months of agony. You go into a clinical setting, a hospital or a facility where things are not always going well, and you are a chaplain, and you learn right away about cups of cold water, and you learn that hospitality can go both ways. And in fact, for it to work, it has to go both ways. One of the reasons I chose this picture was, first of all, does he look like any of us? No. So he's the other, right? He's one of those people that we're going out to. Can you tell me, is this the one receiving that cup or the one offering the cup? There is no wrong answer. Because you can't tell. Is this a smile of gratitude or a smile of gracious offer? It's back to that smiling thing again. I can't get away from it. But Jesus has warned the disciples and us that when you are that face, there will be challenges. And this pastor was remembering a good experience from 30 years ago that was still with her. My wife, on the other hand, her enduring memory from CPE that she will remember forever was not so good. the day she was walking into a woman's room. Woman's in her bed in the hospital room, and all smiles and welcoming because somebody was coming to see her. And Rita said, "Hi, I'm Rita, and I'm the chaplain." The smile went away immediately. The frown came up, all 43 muscles. "Get out!" Okay, I'm sorry. I'm not dead yet. Hospitality goes both ways. And there are going to be people who don't want to observe the blue flag, if you will. So Jesus is warning them and us that discipleship, there's a certain level of empowerment, but there's also a level of struggle. There will be welcome, and there will be rejection. And that's part and parcel of discipleship. That's what you're going to run into then and now. Not everybody wants to watch the flag. And the reward for this, the reward is that we are all in this together. And the one who receives in righteousness receives the reward of the righteous. The end result is the reward. And when Jesus is talking about that, he's not talking about the disciples he's sending out. He's talking about those who will receive them, even if it's only to offer them a glass of cold water. Which, in the scheme of things, isn't much. I mean, welcoming shouldn't be that difficult, and handing them a water shouldn't be that difficult. So these are not people doing big things, but Jesus says it's important, and they will receive their reward. Even though they're not major actors in this whole thing, they are, in fact, because through this small gesture and just giving that water, they are drawn in. They're drawn into the mission of the disciples, and in turn, the mission of Jesus, and in turn, the kingdom of heaven. So discipleship doesn't have to be heroic according to this gospel. Even offering a cold cup of water counts. Little things. You may recall hearing the butterfly effect. Anybody remember hearing that term? Before I start a brief tutorial. I'll make it brief, I promise. All right, the butterfly effect is the name coined by a man named Edward Lorenz for an effect which has been known for a long time, but it's kind of difficult to understand because it's rather complex. So he uses this metaphor to explain how a small thing, a small change in input can have a massive change in output, especially in meteorology and math and science. And he uses the example of a tornado. And he said, the beginning, growth, and path of a tornado can be influenced by something as small as the flutter of a butterfly's wings weeks before. Sometimes the tiniest change can have a massive result in the end. It's not immediate. It's not even obvious. It's a small thing, a small gesture. The butterfly effect. And that's what Jesus is getting at here. That small thing can build. Because in the kingdom of God, there is no small gesture if it's done in faith. Every act of kindness or generosity has an impact well beyond what we can imagine or even ever see, perhaps. His words seem to imply that no act of generosity or kindness will be forgotten. For lack of a better term, meditation blog site that I have been following, the prompt for this past Wednesday was, as compassion and sympathy flow out from us to any marginalized person, for whatever reason, wounds are bandaged. Both theirs and ours. There it is again. Is it the giving or the receiving? It's the relationship. Even our smallest acts of kindness or generosity can reverberate with cosmic effects. And we may never know the difference that act has made. But it's a promise that we have the opportunity, as Jesus' disciples, to make that difference every day. Because that's what Jesus is talking about, just everyday faithful living. Little everyday acts. If you did your homework, I'm working for you here, I'm trying. If you did your homework, you know the story of Johnny. And if you didn't do your homework, I'm going to help you. The story of Johnny. It says, Barbara Glantz is a business consultant and a motivational speaker who tells about being hired by a supermarket chain to lead a workshop on customer service. She challenged the employees to think of ways they could make a difference in customers' lives. Sound familiar? And motivate them to return to the store. All right, that part's a little different. One seminar participant was a grocery bagger with Down syndrome named Johnny, who became captivated by this idea. He noticed how many customers in his checkout line were frowning, so he got the idea to share uplifting quotes every day to brighten people's lives. His dad helped him print out the quotes each night, and Johnny cut them into strips and signed his name on the back, and he put a strip in one bag for each customer with a different quote every day. About a month later, the manager of Johnny's store called Barbara Glantz to tell her the impact her seminar had made. He had recently noticed that people were standing 3 times longer in one particular checkout line than any other. And the manager tried to direct customers to the shorter lines, but they declined. And that's when he realized that they were all willing to wait because that was Johnny's line, and they wanted to experience his daily touch. Little acts of kindness. Everyday faith, everyday actions, every day. That's what Jesus is talking about. Not that heroic discipleship that we sometimes think we should be doing or could be doing if only we were more gifted or blessed or whatever. Little everyday acts of kindness and relationships. Will that save the world? Maybe not. But we may not even ever know. Remember the butterfly? But whether or not it does, it's not our job to save the world. That's God's job. And we trust God to care for the whole world. And that trust empowers us to participate in that work, participate in that building of God's kingdom by caring for the people we find in our little corner. And we must remain confident that even our smallest acts of kindness or generosity done in faith are remembered and can have cosmic significance and make a difference beyond what we may ever see, as each act of kindness and generosity done in the name of Christ reverberates and gathers into God's work to love, bless, and save this world. God's promise to create a new reality of hope, generosity, and possibility, a new reality that Jesus calls the kingdom of God. And we're invited to be a part of it every day. So take the blue flag.